We good?
Yep.
Okay. What's up, guys? So in today's video, we're going to be switching it up a little bit. We're going to be taking my 1999 Mustang GT for a little cruise here. Huge shout out to my buddy Will for making all the filming in this possible. We'll bring him in here. Come on in here, Will. We're going to get a feature of this man here. So essentially, a few years ago, I made a video about the old F-body Trans Ams. So this is sort of going to be sort of like a recapture of that, just with the Ford Mustang, the 4th gen Ford Mustang. So if you guys just want to take a few minutes with me, we'll hop in the Gar here. That's her nickname. And hit the road. Let's do this. All right. So driving a 99 Mustang GT, particularly a convertible. So this is my personal vehicle. I've owned this one, I think 2 years almost, about 2 years. And essentially, I have a huge connection with these new Edge cars just because of the fact that I grew up loving Mustangs. My cousin had an 03 New Edge while we were growing up, and I just fell in love with the body style. And I think a lot of people could speak in that same sort of boat when it comes to these cars. A lot of people's friends, family, brothers, sisters had these cars growing up, and that's how a lot of people found out, about these New Edges. Now, I've actually had 2 of these. My first one was a 2000, and I had that one for about a year and a half. That was a V6 automatic, and I met the love of my life in that car, and I really miss it. I lost it in an accident to, unfortunately, somebody was texting and driving, and they pulled out in front of me. So I bought this one probably 3 or 4 months after losing my last one, so I had something to replace it with, fill that Mustang-shaped hole in my heart. And so what we have here, just put it out on a plain sheet of paper for you, is a 99 Mustang GT. It may say 35th anniversary, and it may have floor mats that say it's a 35th anniversary. However, it is not a real 35th anniversary edition car. This is, in fact, a just regular premium GT from 1999, convertible, originally an automatic 4R70 overdrive car that has since been swapped to a T45. And I'll tell you what, you do not want one of these cars with the 4R70 automatic. It is, unless you really can't drive a manual, these cars are really sluggish. If you're looking for speed, the automatic is not going to be your friend here. So I'll go ahead and dive right into this, and we'll start off by talking about the original Fox body Mustang, the predecessor to the New Edge. A very controversial design in the Mustang industry, seeing, a lot of people really weren't a big fan of the 3rd gen Mustangs. You could get this most times with a 2.3 inline 4, 3.8 V6, or the 5-liter V8, and then later on down the line for 93 for the Cobra R, they had a 5.8-liter Windsor. In 1994, Ford's directives changed, and they wanted to redesign the Mustang, so they offered the idea of canceling the Mustang as a V8 sports car and opening the idea to a new front-wheel drive, 4-cylinder or V6 powered drivetrain for the Mustang to be ran off of, and it didn't end very well. There was a couple of death threats sent up to Ford, so in response to that, Ford said, okay, we'll give you this, a rear-wheel drive Mustang. Engine options haven't really changed here. So for starters, you have the 3.8 V6 with 145 horses, and then the 5-liter V8 with 215 horses. And this comes in either a 5-speed or 4-speed automatic. That's the AOD transmission, so just keep that in mind. Suspension was definitely left dragging with a solid rear axle. The independent front suspension was good, but very solid, and it was a very bouncy ride. The car did not like the corners very much. In 1996, they finally decided to change out the styling a little bit, refresh the rear taillights, bring some new additions in, like the 4.6-liter single overhead cam V8, and then on Cobra models, they added a new dual overhead cam 4.6-liter V8 that produced closer to 300 horses. The design on these was very controversial because it was a very feminine-looking car. It wasn't very sharp, and people didn't really like that. So in 1999, Ford said, okay, we'll give you what you want. A nice, tougher-looking vehicle with more power, but we'll let you hold on to that classic V8 sound. Now, this production run ran from 1994 to 2004, so it was a 10-year total production run on these cars, and that's a pretty good time considering that normally Mustang styling changes every 3 to 5 years. Now, these older 5.0s were phenomenal motors. You could put a good cam in it with some aluminum heads and make some pretty decent power out of an old small block. However, with Chevrolet sticking to that, Ford said, we don't want to stay old school. This is the turn of the 21st century. We have to be fancy. So, here's what they did. Boom! The mod motor enters the chat. Hallelujah. Jesus said, let there be the 2-valve. Now, the legendary 2-valve has powered so many great vehicles alike. Trucks, sports cars, luxury sedans. Yes, it's all there. And it's all very reliable. The 4.6 had very minimal issues. You know, as far as the intake manifold, that could really just be solved by replacing it with an aluminum crossover intake manifold. Or if you had a high-performance Mustang motor, you could just do the aluminum intake manifold. I mean, I sure as hell wouldn't pay $1,000 for one right now, but yeah, if you have that kind of money, go right on ahead. I'm gonna bring you guys in, inside the car for a minute, sort of get you the atmospheric feeling in here. I think the first thing you'll notice is that the seats are obviously not stock. I have changed these out for some cheap El Cheapo Amazon seats because I'm not paying $1,100 to have the factory seats redone just for them to tear in a year. I'm gonna save up for that because I do want it. But the interiors of these cars, in my honest opinion, is my favorite part of the car, just because of how bad it actually is. And I seriously do mean that. You cannot, that's the door, and we're going. What the heck? Gotta hit him with that. Now, if you want a manual, one of these cars, I'm gonna put this out there for anybody who's got noodle legs. This car has a manual cable-driven clutch, so it's not like modern-day manuals. They don't, modern day, a lot of modern-day manuals have something called a hydraulic slate cylinder that basically makes the entire process of pushing the clutch in trillions of times easier than it is with a cable-driven clutch. Not to say it can't be made difficult. There are some hydraulic clutches, I've driven some, that have pretty much, they're like an on-off switch, It's like, it's either you have it all the way pressed down and the car's not moving, and if you slightly let off of it, you either stall or the car gets going. Now, I've driven a couple of manual cars before I bought this, but I really didn't know how to drive a stick, efficiently, so I was a little lost. But I drove an hour, Mare drove me an hour to go pick this thing up, and then I drove it all the way home back with no experience in the pouring rain. And I made it. I'm pretty sure that was a given. But I made it. Which, if that doesn't answer the question, yes, you can learn how to drive in this car on a stick. Your biggest problem is just gonna be that clutch pedal because it's gonna be heavy. And when you're working there at lights and you're gonna be moving back and forth with that thing, trying to get the car to go, you're gonna be in a lot of pain after about 3 minutes. And just like the same as the Trans Am and the F-bodies at the time, this car you can get all the same options: traction control, ABS, automatic or manual. All the interior options are pretty much the same. The only difference is that the Camaro and the Trans Am had one thing that I wish the Mustang did have, which is T-tops. I would be so happy if they put T-tops on the 99 to 04 Mustangs. I really would have. I don't know why, but I really would have liked that. Now, cracking down on daily driverness and just overall usability of these cars, they're pretty much useless as a convertible. Trunk space is non-existent, especially if you have a sub. I have a 10-incher back there, and yeah, I have no trunk space. I think at most you could probably fit 5 or 6 grocery bags in the back, at most. The coupes have really good trunk space. I was able to fit 4 people's luggage in there and drive us all the way down to Florida, and had no problems. So it was fun. Okay, guys, so you've made it this far into this video. Congratulations. Let's finally go over my opinions on the 99 to 04 Mustang. Well, actually, technically 94 to 04. And just go over what exactly makes it special. You know, honestly, you know, if you're in the car community nowadays, you go to a lot of meets. You'll see a couple of these, but you really just don't see as many of these as you do the S197s or the S550s. It's just because most people prefer the Coyote or the 3-valve, or they really like the independent suspension on that S550, which I don't blame them. I mean, you know, my dad has an S550, so. So what makes these cars special? And that's not just this particular one. That's not the 99 04. It's just any 94 to 04. And that's just purely the fact that, you know, these were really a one-off for the Mustang. There was, you know, obviously they had the Ghia Mustangs. They were very odd. But this was definitely a one-off for the Mustang. And in my opinion, it's definitely one of my, I think it's probably my number one, next to the 65, the original Falcon body platform Mustangs. But no, these are special because you're going to see so many more people in S550s and S197s than you are in the Ridge. And that's just a pure fact. I've been to hundreds of Mustang shows, both post S550 release and post S197 release, and pretty much every time it's always S197s or S550s. Should you buy one? Absolutely. If you're looking for something, if you have a really good daily driver, and you want something you can take out on the weekends, have fun with, this is going to be your best bet. This or an LS1 Camaro or Trans Am. Really, I mean, the Trans Am's kind of it's going to be a pain to work on. This is a lot easier to work on, but I mean, they're still both V8s and you can get them in a stick. So that's probably going to go ahead and conclude this video, guys. If you have one of these cars and it's actually nice, please keep it nice, because 9 times out of 10 these are torn up. So you've been watching HHC TV. Please tune in again soon, because we may be doing some other stuff. So that'll do it for now, guys.